Hyderabad, and most of you know me already. So today I'll be discussing on biological basis of fractionated radiotherapy and different dose fractionation schedule in breast cancer. And before starting, at the outset, I want to thank the Bangladesh Society for Breast Cancer Study, and especially Professor Kamruzzaman sir, Dr. Arifur Rahman Sajal, and all the experts in the panel, and all other organizers for giving me this opportunity today. So as we all know that radiotherapy in general is actually a balance between normal tumor control probability and probability of normal tissue complications. So our aim in radiotherapy delivery is to give maximum dose to the tumor while minimizing the complications of the normal tissue. So the fractionation and the biological basis of radiation are based on these 4 R's that you all know. Reoxygenation, that the radiation damage needs oxygen to fix it. Repopulation, that is the cells that is killed by the X-ray, the tumor cells, they repopulate if there is a sufficient gap between 2 doses and if they are given time. And reassortment of the cells in the cell cycle, that is there are different phases of the cell cycle which are particularly radiosensitive, like the G2M phase. So if you give adequate time between the 2 fractions, the cell will progress in the cell cycle and come to a phase which is more sensitive to radiation. And repair of sublethal damage, that is if the injury is not too much, then the cell can repair itself, which is called the repair of sublethal damage. So what does fractionation do? Fractionation actually spares the normal tissue because it gives adequate time for repair of the sublethal damage and repopulation of the cells, and also increases the chance to the tumor control because of reoxygenation. During this time, the tumor gets reoxygenated and tumor gets rearranged in the cell cycle and comes to a phase which is more radiosensitive than the other. It's mainly the G2M phase. So as you see the cell survival curve, the tumor and the early responding tissues which have large alpha by beta, they have a shallow shoulder, and the late responding tissues which has low alpha by beta has a narrow shoulder and sharp fall. So there is a window which we call the therapeutic window where the normal tissues or the tissues which has less alpha by beta, they survive, while the tumor tissue or the high alpha by beta tissues, they get killed. So this is the therapeutic window, and we want to use this window to achieve our goal of giving maximum dose to the tumor and minimum dose to the normal tissue. So what is alpha by beta? Alpha is the component of cell killing which is proportional to the dose, and beta is the component of cell killing which is proportional to the square of the dose, and D is the dose where alpha is equal to beta. Therefore, alpha by beta is the dose at which the linear and quadratic component of cell kill are equal. So alpha by beta for head and neck cancer is 10 gray, and alpha by beta for breast cancer is around 3.5 gray. I'll come to this point in details in my later slides. So I usually explain it with this example, with this analogy. If you want to clear the weeds of your garden, you don't use an axe, you use an instrument which has these multiple teeth. So with that, you need to give not very much, very strong injuries, a little bit of injury, a little less injuries, but multiple injuries. So once you clear the weeds from your garden, some are not completely plucked out. Those cells will survive. They get some kind of injury, and they will, if you see, in next 2-3 days, they will survive. So that is actually the repair of sublethal damage. And once you remove these cells, and if you don't do it repeatedly, you will see that after a few days, it will again grow. That is actually repopulation. If you consider the weeds as rapidly growing tumor cells or the cells with high alpha by beta, you can understand that. And another thing, once you clear the weeds, suppose you have not, you have plucked them out, but you have not cleared it from your garden, and you went to a vacation, and it rains in that night. When you come back, you will see that it has grown again. That is, that is called potential lethal damage. That is, they would have been killed otherwise, but as the environment got changed because of the rain, they survived. So that is potential lethal damage. And if you want to cut a tree, if you compare a tree to the late responding tissues or the tissues with less alpha by beta, you need very big blows. So use an axe. And as you can see, the sublethal damage repair is much more when you cut a tree. Even if you cut half of the trees, it can regrow. The new leaves can also come. So for early responding tissues, you need multiple frequent small blows, whereas for late responding tissues, you need bigger blows and less number of blows. So that's how I explain sublethal damage, potentially lethal damage, and early responding tissues and deep responding tissues. So late responding tissue. So by fractionation, what we do? Actually, we repeat the shoulder by each fractionation and we increase the therapeutic window. That is, with each fractionation, we repeat the alpha cell kill. As we know, the early responding tissues, the tumor tissues, are more sensitive to alpha cell kill. We repeat the alpha cell kill and we decrease the beta component of it, thus protecting the normal structures. So that is what the fractionation does. Let us see the history, how this dose fractionation actually evolved. In 1895, and Röntgen published his data, discovered X-ray, and he published his data in December 1895. Within a few days of publicity, the German press reached London on January 6, and 1896, and from there, it was cabled to all newspapers in all over the world. So just 3 weeks later, on January 29, 1896, Emil Grubb, a vacuum tube manufacturer in Chicago, used the new rays therapeutically for the first time. At the suggestion of Dr. Ludlam, the patient had breast cancer and was exposed to a single treatment for about 1 hour. So this is the famous hospital in Austria, Vienna. I did my fellowship also in this hospital. It's called AKH, Medical University, Vienna. There, a dermatologist, Dr. Leopold Fron, had some other observation that epilation is possible after exposure of X-rays. In 1896, he treated a patient, is actually a small child of hairy nevus, with daily fractionation of radiotherapy over 2 weeks. And that was the first thing, he was the first person to give a fractionated radiotherapy. In 1914, the Austrian radiologist Gottwald Schwarz suggested that multiple doses would be more effective because the time of greater radiosensitivity was the time of mitosis. That is, he is giving a hint at the reassortment of cells in the cell cycle. In 1918, Coring and Friedrich showed that the dose necessary to produce the same skin reaction had to be increased when multiple fractions were used rather than just one. So he told that to achieve the same dose, same effect, you need to increase the dose if you use fractionated radiotherapy. So the first successful treatment for cancer were made with fractionated radiotherapy. It was not deliberately or intentionally, because the earlier X-ray tubes had low output devices and treatment needed to be repeated daily. There was no dosimetry system at that time. Only the skin reaction was the only surrogate. To achieve a skin reaction, to assess the dose, they need to repeat it daily, because in one treatment with a low output device, it was not possible. As the machine improved, single fraction RT became possible in 1914. After the invention of Cooley's cathode tube, the ability to deliver higher dose over a shorter period of time became available. And then all the debate started about the best way of delivering the radiotherapy. And there was two schools of thought. One is in Germany, Erlangen, and another is in Paris. So in Germany, a group of German doctors, so the most influential member was Wins, and they argued that single dose were the most effective and the fractionated radiotherapy was weak and primitive. Their rationale for single fractionation radiotherapy was based on their interpretation of Bergoni and Tribundu's law of radiation sensitivity, which was published in 1906, which concluded from this law, it is easy to understand that Röntgen radiation destroys tumor without destroying health tissues. Therefore, it appears that there was an inherent advantage of Röntgen radiation that might be lost if cancer cells are allowed time to recover. Wintz and his colleague argued that recovery from radiation injury depends on the cellular metabolism, and a rapidly growing tumor cell is better able to affect recovery from injury than a connective tissue cell. Therefore, the difference in recovery will favor the tumor if the cancercidal dose is not applied in the first treatment. So they were a strong argument in favor of single fraction radiation. In view of radiotherapy, this view has remained popular into the 1920s, but increasingly we got more evidence of superior outcome with fractionated radiotherapy, higher cure rates and lower toxicity. And gradually this method was eradicated, at least until the introduction of stereotactic radiosurgery several decades later. In the Paris School, in 1930s, experiments were done by Rigaud and colleagues, and they tried to sterilize the ram. They compared the ram testicles as rapidly proliferating tissue and the skin over it as lead responding tissues. And they saw that with a single dose of X-ray, without extensively damaging the skin, sterilization is not possible. Whereas it is possible if it is given in multiple fractions. Without much skin damage, sterilization was possible. And this led to Coutard's study that culminated in the fractionated EBRT techniques of today. He published this article in 1934 in the Lancet, The Principle of X-ray Therapy of Malignant Disease. I will request all the young oncologists and residents to read this article once. If the total dose or the daily dose or the intensity per minute has been too high, if the field has been too large in relation to the doses, or if the filtration of the tension has been too low, the connective tissue may be modified. The nutrition of the epithelioma cell thus become difficult. The cellular radiosensitivity, which seems to be linked up not only with the youthfulness of the cells, but above all with the activity of their interchanges with the vasculoconnective tissue, that is modified, often diminished and sometimes suppressed. The cancer cells behave clinically as if they had become insensitive to the irradiation. So they gave few important points, that is nutrition, that is they are directing towards the oxygenation thing, the cellular radiosensitivity, the youthfulness, that means the rapidly proliferating cells, the vasculoconnective tissue, they are referring as the normal tissues. So alongside the energy factor, they considered originally as the sole factor or at least essential to the X-ray therapy of cancer, the daily repetition of irradiation in doses either uniform or unequal, and the increase in the number of days of the treatment have provoked a second factor, which is called the time factor. So the two factors came into effect in terms of cure and normal tissue toxicity. One is energy and another is time. So beginning in 1919, Coutard treated incurable head and neck tumors with fractionated low-dose röntgenotherapy. This method was designed to mimic the low-dose radium technique by Rigaud. At the International Congress of Otology in Paris in 1922, Rigaud, Coutard, and Hotter presented 6 patients with advanced carcinoma of the larynx treated by radiation therapy and now free of disease. This was the first time radiation therapy was shown to be an independent specialty practice, not by the surgeon, but by the radiation therapist. Coutard reported cure, but also described reaction of the skin and mucosa, showing that they depended for specific doses on the total duration of treatment. Advanced carcinoma of the larynx treated by radiation therapy and now evolution of standard fractionated schedule, how it evolved. In 1937, Battles took over from Coutard in Curie Institute, and he further extended the treatment time to avoid the several severe reactions seen by Coutard. limiting the daily doses to 2 gray and protracting treatment over 6 to 7 weeks. Data from patients treated between 1919 and 1947 suggests that the best outcome were seen in those receiving treatment over this time frame, as opposed to longer or shorter time period. The technique was exported to USA around this time. In contrast to this technique, this is important in our context, those developed in Manchester by Patterson. Due to the usual pressure of the NHS seems to have with beds and equipments, treatment time was shortened to 3 weeks with a corresponding drop in the total dose to compensate for larger fraction size. This Manchester technique was popular in the Commonwealth in contrast to the Paris technique, which was popular to the continental Europe and in the USA. So as we have discussed the rationale of fractionation, sparing the normal tissues by repopulation for surviving fractions and repair of the sublethal damage, and increasing the tumor damage by reoxygenation of hypoxic cells and redistribution of the cells along the cell cycles. So what are fractionations? So one is standard or conventional fractionation, or others are altered or modified fractionation. It can be hyperfractionation, accelerated fractionation, continuous hyperfractionated accelerated radiation therapy or CHART, hypofractionation, split course radiotherapy, concomitant boost, or simultaneous integrated boost. So how to choose the fraction size? If alpha by beta ratio of tumor is the same or less than that of the critical normal tissue, then a large dose per fraction, that is hyperfractionation, is preferred, like prostate cancer or breast cancer. If alpha by beta ratio of tumor is high, often 10 or greater, and alpha by beta ratio of normal tissue, a lower dose per fraction is, that is hyperfractionation, is preferred, like the squamous cell carcinoma of the head and neck. So for high alpha by beta, it is rapidly proliferating, and low alpha by beta, slow proliferating. For high alpha by beta, short doubling time, whereas in low alpha by beta, it is larger potential doubling time. In breast, it is 10.4 days. In high alpha by beta, repopulate on treatment, which it is not happens in low alpha by beta. High alpha by beta sensitive to rate of dose accumulation, that is, it's sensitive to overall treatment time. And in low alpha by beta, is sensitive to dose per fraction and interfraction time. So high alpha by beta has short latent period, low alpha by beta has longer latent period. So hyperfractionated or accelerated treatment will be beneficial for high alpha by beta, whereas hyperfractionated treatment will be beneficial for low alpha by beta. So standard fractionation, we know 1.5 to 2 gray per fraction daily, 5 days a week, and is around 5 to 7 weeks of treatment. And altered fractionation can be hyperfractionation, that is more than one small fraction per day, spares the late effects, improves tumor control through redistribution and reoxygenation. Accelerated fractionation is actually reduction of the treatment time to overcome repopulation, late effects not expected to change, and hyperfractionation delivers large dose per fraction, and there is a concern of late effect. Now let's come to the breast cancer radiotherapy. So usually the conventional dose for breast cancer radiotherapy is 50 gray in 25 fraction over 5 weeks of time, plus minus boost whenever required. So it is actually 5 to 6 weeks of treatment, 2 gray per fraction schedule. Now, beside the radiobiology thing that I have discussed, let us see the logistic issues. So for chemotherapy, it takes around 4 to 5 months. For surgery, around 1 month's time. And radiotherapy, 5 to 6 weeks. Then nowadays, they undergo targeted therapy or hormonal therapy for 1 to 10 years. So the extensive treatment a patient receives for around 1.5 to 2 years. So if you think about from the patient's perspective, extensive treatment taking 1.5 to 2 years is very, very difficult. And if the radiation unit is not near to the patient's house, they have to stay in a different city, and they have to take the treatment. Their daily expenditure is increased too much. So the number of days as it increases, the expenditure is also increased. So this radiobiology paper published by John Yarnold, and this paper, the collaborative data of START pilot trial and START-A trial, he has established that the alpha by beta estimated in the breast tumor is around 3.5 gray. So both radiobiologically and if you consider the logistic issues, hyperfractionation should be better for breast cancer. So as we have previously discussed, UK has been pioneer in doing this radiotherapy fractionation studies. So these trials evolved in United Kingdom from 1986. They started the pilot study of START-P trial, then in 1999 START-A and B, 2004 first trial, 2007 import low, import high, 2012 fast forward trial, and in 2020 let us see where we have reached. This is the first pilot study of START trial, and just look at the number 1,410 BCS cases, and this is not a head-on comparison, not a randomized control trial. They have seen 13 fraction regimen and versus 50 gray in 25 fractions regimen. So there are two dose regimens, 39 gray in 13 fraction and 42.9 gray in 13 fraction. So the results were very encouraging, and they started using 40 gray in 15 fraction empirically, but it was never compared with 50 gray in 25 fraction. So they designed two simultaneous parallel trials called START-A and START-B, standardization of breast radiotherapy trials by UK Coordinating Committee of Cancer Research. The aim was to see the loco-regional tumor control, normal tissue effect, quality of life, and health economic consequences. And the hypothesis was breast cancer is as sensitive to fraction size as the normal tissue. So this is the profile of START trial. START-A, 2,236 patients in 3 arms. One is the standard arm, 50 gray 25 fraction over 5 weeks. And other 2 arms were 41.6 gray in 13 fraction and 39 gray in 13 fraction, but both were over 5 weeks time. So the START-B trial actually or 2-arm trial. One is this conventional fractionation, 50 gray 25 fraction. Another was the fraction that is now standard of care, that is 40 gray in 15 fraction in 3 weeks time. So I'll not go to the details of the trial results. I'll straightaway go to the 10-year follow-up result because there is not much time. So the 10-year follow-up data of START-A trial shows the rate of locoregional relapse did not differ significantly between the fraction size. Moderate to marked breast induration, telangiectasia, and breast edema are significantly less common normal tissue effect in 39 gray than in 50 gray group, and normal tissue effect from between the other 2 groups, that is 41.6 and 50 gray group, did not differ significantly. In START-B trial, there was 95 locoregional relapse, but it did not differ between 40 gray and 50 gray group, and the normal tissue effects also did not differ between the 2 groups. So the locoregional recurrence, as you can see, is similar in all the groups in START-A, and in START-B, even it is similar for 50 gray and 40 gray time. And the disease-free survival is even better in START-B trial in 40 gray group. And the late normal tissue side effects are also similar in both the arms in both the trials. So long-term follow-up confirms that hypofractionated radiotherapy is safe and effective for patients with early breast cancer. The result supports the continued use of 40 gray in 15 fraction. There was a meta-analysis by John Yarnold of the START trials, which also shows that hyperfractionation is actually beneficial in breast cancers. So there was another Canadian trial which also compared similar fractionation, 42.5 gray in 16 fraction, which also shows that there is no difference in disease-free or overall survival, and there is good cosmetic outcome at 3 years with the hyperfractionated regime. So now UK came with UK FAST trial, that is in 3-arm trial. One is 50-25, 30 gray in 5 fraction, 5 weeks, and 28.5 fraction in 5 weeks. This is actually a weekly regimen. And the result was at 3-year median follow-up, 28.5 gray in 5 fraction is comparable to 50 gray 25 and significantly milder than 30 gray in 5 fraction in terms of adverse effect in the breast. Then they designed 2 more very interesting trials. One is import low and another is import high. Import low is actually de-escalation trial, 3-arm trial. They tried to give 40-15 to the whole breast. In other 2 arms, they tried to reduce the volume and reduce the dose. In test arm 1, 36 in 15 to whole breast and to the quadrant 40 gray in 15 fraction. Whereas in test term 2, they have given only partial breast 40 gray 15 fraction. Whereas import high is a simultaneous integrated boost trial. Standard arm is 40-15 with 16 gray 8 fraction boost. And test group 1 arm is, there is a little bit of dose reduction to the whole breast, 36 in 15, and the quadrant 40 in 15. And they have given simultaneous integrated boost to a total dose of 48 in 15 to the timolol in one group, and in another group 53 gray in 15 fraction. So SIB of 3.2 gray per fraction and 3.4 gray per fraction. So they have published the data of import low, and the interpretation is showed non-inferiority of partial breast or reduced dose radiotherapy compared with the standard whole breast radiotherapy in terms of local relapse in a cohort of patients with early breast cancer, and equivalent or fewer later on normal tissue adverse effects were seen. The simple radiotherapy technique is implementable in radiotherapy centers worldwide. And they presented their data of import high trial of toxicity data, and these results represent the largest and most mature report of adverse effect outcome of breast SIB within a clinical trial. At 3 years, rates of moderate to marked adverse event are similar between CIMRT and whole breast radiotherapy plus sequential boost IMRT delivered over 3 and 4.5 weeks respectively. So import high trial actually establishes the simultaneous integrated boost IMRT in breast, that it is safe. Yes, we can practice SIB IMRT in breast. We have Indian data also from Tata Medical Center, Calcutta, from AGPGI-MS Lucknow, and from Tata Memorial Hospital, Mumbai. So all the data shows that hyperfractionated regimen can be used safely with similar outcomes. And there is a TMH guideline which was published after WCI TMH conference, and the panel qualified its initial vote in favor of hyperfractionated schedule to state that such technique be used only in centers with advanced simulation and planning system. So they actually tell should be a conformal treatment, not a conventional treatment. So Astro also changed their recommendation in 2018, and now age is not a bar. In any stage can be treated with hyperfractionated radiation, and those in immunity, they have said that volume of breast tissue receiving greater than 105% of the prescription dose should be minimized regardless of dose fractionation. And for any chemotherapy, it can be used. Now, the most interesting trial that recently been published is the fast forward trial. So now people are thinking, instead of 3 weeks, can you finish the treatment in 1 week's time? The fast forward trial, there are 3 dose schedule. One is a control arm, that is 40 gray 15 fraction. And another 2 arms were 1 week treatment. One is 27, another is 26. And they gave a sequential boost of 10 gray per fraction or 16 gray in 8 fraction, 10 gray in 5 fraction or 16 gray in 8 fraction. And they published their result. So ipsilateral breast tumor recurrence were similar, rather a little less in 27 gray group and 26 gray group, that is 1 week treatment. Hazard ratio, the hazard ratio is 0.86 and 0.67, and normal tissue side effects are similar between the 3 arms, whereas in 27 gray it is a little higher. In 26 gray it is only 121 cases compared to 40 gray of 98 cases. So patient and photographic assessment showed higher normal tissue effect risks in 27 gray, but not in 26 gray in 5 fraction. So in summary, they have concluded 5-year ipsilateral breast tumor relapse incidence after 1 week course of adjuvant breast radiotherapy delivered in 5 fraction is non-inferior to the standard 3-week schedule. The 26 gray dose level is similar to 40 gray in 15 fraction in terms of patient assessment assessed normal tissue effect, clinician assessed normal tissue effect, and photographic change in the breast appearance. So now let us see where are we in the hierarchy of evidence. So for START-like trial, we have clinical practice guideline, we have meta-analysis and systematic review, and for fast forward, we have randomized control trial. But in the perspective of this new COVID situation, where coming to the hospital is a problem, I personally feel we can use this fast forward trial data in our day-to-day practice, which will help a lot of patients. And also there is another issue, because of radiation, long duration of radiation, many patients opt for mastectomy rather than opting for breast conservative therapy. If we really can reduce the time of radiation, I feel many patients will opt for breast conservation therapy, because staying at a different place for 5 weeks or 6 weeks and taking radiation is actually not easy. So this is another interesting trial going on, because in fast forward trial, though they have completed the treatment in 1 week for whole breast, the boost they have given sequential, that is another week. So it makes 2 weeks. And the patient that we get in our clinics in third world countries mostly require boosts, because we get a little advanced patients. So this trial is being conducted in Tata Medical Center in Calcutta, and they are doing simultaneous integrated boost. In 1 week treatment, they will give 26 day in 5 fraction with 6 day in 5 fraction SIB to the tumor bed. The recruitment is going on. We are waiting for this trial result, and I personally feel in few years time, this will become the standard of care, and we'll be able to finish breast radiation in 1 week's treatment. So the take home message is, we have strong evidence from 3-week regimen. The consistency of fast forward result with earlier hypofractionation trial supports the adoption of 26 gray in 5 fraction daily as a new standard for women with operable breast cancer requiring adjuvant to partial and whole breast. The 1 week schedule has major benefit over the 3-week or 5-week regimen in terms of convenience and cost for patients and for health service globally. Mainly in third world countries like India and Bangladesh, where we have less radiation facilities and we have high patient burden, this will save us a lot of time, lot of money, and lot of energy, and we'll be able to treat more and more patients in one setup, in one machine, or in one institute. So thank you all. I acknowledge Dr. Kanucharan Patro, Dr. Uma and Dr. Basha are my students. And this is my ancestral village in Shalgata, Gaibanda, Bangladesh. So thank you very much for inviting. This is the kind of, I could not be present physically, but virtually I am present there. It is a kind of homecoming for me. Thank you all. If you have any question, I'm happy to answer.